on. What I could have done better is a lot of things. 100%.
His punches, where, you know, like the first few rounds, he throws very few punches.
He's just measuring. He's a computer, man.
Yep.
He's just getting the data on you, faking you, taking pictures of everything you're doing. Then
People will criticize you for going 6 rounds with Jake Paul. How do you feel about that?
I deserve it.
Why? Come on.
Because, like, we're elite fighters.
Joe Rogan appeared genuinely surprised after Anthony Joshua reportedly exposed what happens behind closed doors in Jake Paul fight contracts. Many viewers believe these matches are simple crossover boxing events, but Joshua suggested they are carefully structured and tightly managed. As he described specific conditions, limitations, and quiet advantages built into the agreements, Rogan's reaction made it clear how serious the claims were. This situation went beyond punching power or boxing talent. It centered on business control, protection, and shaping the storyline. After hearing Joshua's comments, it becomes easier to understand why many established
on that stage,
Yeah.
and you hear him saying everything he says, bearing in mind the journey you've been on, everything you've done, do you just think this guy's deluded?
Nah. Look, an amateur coming into the game with no experience, he's taking on some good names. They may be old, they may be from different combats in terms of MMA and so on, but he's got in the ring at a decent level, fought Tommy Fury and so on, so he believes in himself. I take it seriously, I respect it.
Yeah, but their levels, come on, AJ.
Yeah, there are, but it's all about on the night. The levels that I carried last year and the year before and the year after that will not win me this fight. What will win me this fight is performing on the night. And I have to respect my opponent. If I underestimate him, I give him a chance. And that's all.
The contest, marketed as Judgment Day, was set for 8 3-minute rounds in the heavyweight division, with Anthony Joshua entering as the heavy favorite due to his experience and size. Joshua measured 6 feet 6 inches and weighed roughly 243 pounds, while Paul came in around 216 pounds. The opening rounds were cautious, but momentum slowly shifted. By the 5th round, Joshua asserted himself and dropped Paul multiple times. The fight ended in the 6th round at 1 minute and 31 seconds when Joshua landed a powerful right hand that sent Paul down and forced the referee to stop.
Anthony Joshua. Paul was sturdy for the first couple of rounds, but as the fight went on, the more experienced Joshua began to take control. After continuously connecting in the 5th round, it was only a matter of time before it was over. In the 6th, Joshua went on to knock out Paul with a big right hand. Joshua improved his career record to 29-4 now. Paul loses for the 2nd time in his career to go along with.
Jake Paul's game plan against Anthony Joshua relied on speed, movement, and avoiding danger for as long as possible. Before the fight, Paul explained that he intended to use footwork and constant motion, circling the ring and keeping distance while forcing Joshua to pursue him. The goal was to frustrate the former champion and make it through all 8 rounds. Paul and his team said he wanted to stay away from a single clean power shot and depend on stamina and angles to survive. The strategy was clear. Keep moving, make Joshua miss, and avoid direct exchanges with a larger and more seasoned fighter.
We saw the game plan from both guys from round 1. Jake was very mobile. I mean, he had the happy feet going. He was circling around the outside of the ring. He was not looking to engage in elongated combinations. He was not looking to stand in the center of the ring with AJ, and people are going to say Jake ran from AJ, and you're right. Because guess why? He absolutely had to. Again, we talked about this in the build-up to the fight. He had to be mobile. He had to be on his bike. So yes, you're justified in saying Jake ran from him because he had to. He had to. And anybody that convinced themselves that Jake was going to walk to the center of the ring, stand in the phone booth with AJ, and trade punches until someone laid flat, you were lying to yourself, or you convinced yourself of something you saw in the promo. This was always going to be the way the fight went. I wasn't surprised at all that this is the way that Jake started and pretty much fought the entire time. I was a bit surprised that AJ didn't assert himself earlier. Now, again, it is very hard to hurt someone that doesn't want to engage in a continuous fight. Round 1, very much a feeling out process for AJ. Didn't really look like he did much, but Jake didn't either. There was one right hand that AJ landed in the 1st round that shook Jake up. That's the danger that was coming for Jake the entirety of the fight. The 2nd and 3rd rounds were pretty much the same, a bit of a mixed bag in terms of Jake tried to get on his jab more. He did land some jabs that snapped the head back of AJ and landed some right hands, but this was all calculated risk for AJ as well, because he knew as long as he turned that faucet on and let the water run and let it fill up the sink and never turned the faucet off, that eventually he would drown Jake, right? So every round it was pressure, front foot, front foot, front foot, and AJ strategically breaking down Jake's gas tank. I will say I'm pretty let down by the fact that AJ didn't cut the ring. I was shocked that he didn't go to the body more. I was shocked that he didn't set up his punches more, didn't get his head off the center line more. It was not a great performance from AJ, but at the same time, AJ had just come off a loss. AJ had just come off surgery. I'm not making excuses, but it wasn't.
Veteran ring announcer Michael Buffer offered his view on the impact Jake and Logan Paul have had on today's boxing scene. He noted that the brothers have brought new energy to the sport and attracted younger audiences who may not have followed boxing before. Their skill in creating buzz, building storylines, and generating massive attention has helped boxing reach more people. Buffer acknowledged that while some critics question the seriousness of crossover fights, the influence of the Paul brothers cannot be ignored. By pulling in new fans and media coverage, they have expanded the sport's overall reach.
Jake and Logan, first of all, are fantastic athletes. You know what Logan does with the WWE and what Jake does with boxing. He knocks people out and everything. And they both have massive fan bases, and for me, it's great to see people get young people that follow them that didn't have they don't remember Ali or Joe Frazier or whatever. It's not in their wheelhouse. So it's great to see them developing fight fans and a big fight atmosphere. So it's very exciting.
These two stood face to face, and the comment section on the internet was going crazy. They were like, call the ambulance now, basically. Like Anthony Joshua looks dangerous standing next to him.
Anthony Joshua is, at this time, and has been for years, the biggest puncher in boxing. He's a devastating puncher. So I got to give Jake a lot of credit for wanting to take this fight.
Yeah, it's not. A lot of people say it's not smart. If he somehow was able to surprise the world, what does this do for his?
The word would be surprised if he shocked the world. But that's exactly why you got to give him credit. He wants to do it. He trains hard, he works hard, and he has a lot of faith in himself. So we'll see what happens.
Technically, though, what's the biggest concern for you? What's the biggest tip you can give Jake, knowing that you've watched Anthony so many times dominate?
After the bout, Anthony Joshua spoke openly about his performance, saying that even though he won by a 6-round knockout, he felt he could have done better. He admitted that he struggled early on to land clean punches and took longer than expected to control Jake Paul. Joshua described the result as a victory but not a complete success, stressing that there is still room for improvement. He made it clear that he expects more from himself moving forward.
What I could have done better is a lot of things, 100%. In the fight game, you've seen the amazing fighters that have graced us over the last 100 years, and the expectations that we put on ourselves are immense, but I tried my best. Jake done well while it lasted, but if you remember what I said in the interview with Cameron is, fighting's not just physical, it's psychological. And when you understand the psychological warfare, I did say to you is that, Jake, what's gonna happen? I'm gonna see a time when I'm gonna take your soul and you're either gonna give up or you're gonna get knocked out. And unless you have that instinct, you just will never be a good fighter. So I wish that I could have.
Eddie Hearn also shared his thoughts following the fight, giving Jake Paul some credit while keeping expectations realistic. Hearn said that although Paul showed toughness, the ending was never really in doubt. He pointed out that very few people believed Paul would last long against a fighter of Anthony Joshua's level, and reaching the 6th round reflected durability more than skill. Hearn suggested the fight highlighted the gap between social media crossover fighters and true elite professionals, emphasizing that Joshua's power and experience ultimately decided the outcome.
First 2 or 3 rounds, a little bit frustrating because you've been out of the ring for a year and a half and you've got a guy that's just running around the ring, and you can say you've got to cut him off, but when they're moving at that kind of speed and they're holding up close, but his clinching was quite good, Jake. Listen, I'm not saying he's going to go and win a world title, but he just fought Anthony Joshua and went 5 and a bit rounds. So, respect to him, and it was good to get some rounds in, to be honest with you. He's got a new team. If it would have gone 45 seconds, maybe people would have been more impressed, but we wouldn't really have got any ring time. So we've got that, and now it's a case of when we're at next.
You described Jake as average a few years ago. What's your assessment of him now?
Decent. If you listen to what I said in the build-up, I said he used to be average, now I think he's decent. And the same. I think he's like a top 50 cruiserweight in the world. 6, top 50, top 60 cruiserweight in the world. So, yeah, and look, you know, like I said, I hope he's okay. 4-0 to Matchroom over MVP. But we're friends now, so respect to him.
And your message for
Fury, listen, we'll see you in September.
Ryan Garcia added fuel to the conversation with a blunt social media post that quickly caught attention across boxing circles. Garcia said he respected Paul's effort but made a sharp comparison involving Gervonta Davis. He stated that Davis would likely have done even more damage, suggesting the fight would have ended sooner or more decisively. Many analysts agreed with Garcia, saying this matchup did not represent elite-level boxing. Even after the fight, criticism continued, with some arguing the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul bout should never have taken place.
I mean, look, fair play to Jake Paul. He has a lot of guts, and the fact that he wasn't carried out of this fight on a stretcher, you know, certainly I guess you can say is a positive. But what did I think about this? What did I think about Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul? Look, it felt like Anthony Joshua carried him. It felt like Jake Paul brought in as much of a negative anti-style as possible, circling away, constantly holding Joshua, constantly falling to the ground. Again, while you're certainly going to give respect for the YouTube star turned fighter for having the guts to put on this type of show and to stand in there for as long as he did until a clean right hand in the corner when Paul was absolutely exhausted, dropped him and ended the fight. This is not elite boxing. And we knew that coming in, but if these fights are going to be sanctioned as official fights, like the Mike Tyson fight from last year, like this one, how much longer is the appetite for the fans?
Before the fight, Deontay Wilder raised questions about the fairness of the matchup, hinting that contract terms could play a role in deciding the winner. Wilder suggested the bout might resemble past spectacle events where entertainment value and money sometimes outweigh pure competition. He implied that the fighter favored by the agreement would likely come out on top, raising doubts about whether the result would be earned strictly through skill. These remarks intensified debate within the boxing community, as fans questioned whether Paul's rise is driven more by promotion than performance.
And they asked Deontay Wilder, who does he think will win the fight? And he said, whatever's in the contract for the person to win, that's who will win. And let me counterpunch. What Wilder is saying is what a lot of people are fearing, right? You know, the Jake Paul FDA that, hey, he has to win each and every fight has been one of those things that has been lingering around in the boxing world, as we've seen about Mike Tyson, and Mike Tyson seeing him pulling punches or appeared to be pulling punches and not really trying to fight Jake Paul. And I reminded people that it was an exhibition. And despite how it was billed and what Mike promised to do, I think none of those guys were just trying to hurt each other. You know, I think Jake Paul was actually just trying to, just share the ring with a legend. You know what I mean? To be honest, he made sure he won, sure, but, he didn't try to go out of his way to hurt Mike like he did, like he dropped Anderson Silva or he knocked out.
Jake Paul's growing confidence has been met with skepticism from many experienced boxing voices. Critics argue that his belief he could compete with Anthony Joshua is unrealistic. Joshua is a proven heavyweight with years of training, championship bouts, and tested endurance that Paul has not yet faced. Some observers question how Paul maintains his speed and physique, while Joshua is widely viewed as fully natural, combining size, strength, and technique at a high level. This difference has led many to doubt Paul's readiness for such a major challenge. The debate has been fueled by the massive money involved. Complex contracts and huge payouts often shape major fights, and Wilder's comments have pushed fans to consider how behind-the-scenes deals might affect outcomes. While claims of a fixed result remain disputed, the controversy has increased scrutiny around transparency and competitive integrity.
Is Jake Paul natural? No. I can say that with pretty certain confidence in that statement, mainly because, as you heard me mention, I know a lot of the people he trains with and I have heard things. Now let's give Jake the benefit of the doubt, right? He's able to restrain from the peer pressure that everyone's putting on him to hop on these certain compounds. Then that would be cool to train natural, do what he needs to do. But the thing is, his body composition has changed so much, his explosiveness, his power, and yes, that comes with training and time. But I find it very, very suspicious that for some reason, whenever a drug test gets brought up, for instance, when Fury wanted that in the contract, Jake Paul turns them down. So you should think to yourself, it's probably because he's not natural. Now I want to make it clear, I don't care whether Jake Paul is natural or not. There's so many people that aren't natural that are in combat sports. In fact, Tyron Woodley probably is also not natural. Everyone wants that little edge over their competition, and that's where drugs and anabolics come into play. There's certain compounds that are out there that just increase your explosiveness immensely, your recovery, so that you can stay in the same weight class, which is very important for combat sports, whether that's boxing, UFC, whatever type of combat sport you're doing. So that is why you guys have seen so much improvement from Jake Paul. Of course, he has a great circle around him, great trainers, great coaches, a great regimen, but definitely anabolics play a very fundamental role in that. They allow him to train as hard as he does. They allow him to increase his power and speed. And of course, when you think of those concepts, that's essentially the recipe to win.
Joe Rogan has clearly shared his doubts about Jake Paul's ambitions and does not believe the matchup favors Paul. Rogan argues that despite his age, Anthony Joshua remains in elite condition, still possessing speed, power, and confidence in the ring. While Paul's approach has worked against less experienced opponents, Rogan believes it would be extremely risky against a seasoned heavyweight. He points to Joshua's championship experience, ring awareness, and ability to handle pressure as key advantages. Rogan also questions whether chasing this fight is smart for Paul's long-term career, warning that underestimating a fighter of Joshua's level could have serious consequences. He adds that Joshua's champion mindset gives him a major edge when it matters most.
Used to be. This is a 34-year-old Anthony Joshua. This is a terrifying human being. Terrifying. Again, a guy who survived Usyk twice. You know, you saw what Usyk did to Dubois. You see Usyk take out Dubois? Did you see that? I mean, that's the Usyk you're talking about. There's an Usyk that rocked Tyson Fury, who's fucking 6'9".
So Jake Paul's 6'1" versus 6'6" Anthony Joshua. Jake weighed in for the Tyson fight at 199.
Yeah.
Joshua against Ngannou was 252.
6'6". Just not just 6'6", but 6'6", and knows how to use every fucking inch of it. Knows how to keep that stick in your face. He was keep that jab in his face, and that right hand, if it hits you, you're fucked. And he's not worried about you the way he's worried about Usyk. You can't move like Usyk. You can't constantly be frustrating and overloading his nervous system. Usyk is overloading every aspect of your senses at every moment. He's constantly moving, and then punches are coming, and he loops punches around your guard, and he's constantly shifting his feet, and you think he's going to be there, and he's over here, and it's like this overload of thinking. It's not a casual, relaxed fight where you can kind of move around and get your groove and he's going to stay on the outside and you're going to... No, it's just constant. He survived that guy twice. He survived, in my opinion, the most skillful heavyweight of all time. Twice. And you're going to go box him? And the toughest guy you fought before was 40 years old Anderson Silva? That was the toughest guy so far you fought? You lost to Tommy Fury, who's a very good boxer, but this is a giant Olympic gold medalist heavyweight. I mean, Anthony Joshua is fucking
Here's
terrifying.
the thing that nightmares are made of.
And he's got that one-punch nuclear power. One punch.
What's your take? Do these details change how you view the fight, or do you think it's all just speculation?